Welcome, everyone. I am State Librarian Mary Soucie, and today we are going to talk about SMART goals. So we will delve into the world of SMART goals, which is a powerful framework to set achievable and impactful objectives. By the end of this presentation, hopefully you will be equipped to craft SMART goals and propel yourselves towards success, both personally and professionally. We'll also explain how incorporating SMART goals into a grant application can elevate your application. By crafting well-defined objectives, you'll demonstrate a clear roadmap for success and make a compelling case to potential funders. So we're going to start with the basics. What are SMART goals? SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Sometimes you'll see timely instead of time-bound, and sometimes you'll see attainable instead of achievable. So I might use those two terms sort of interchangeably. SMART goals are well-defined objectives that provide a clear roadmap for each achievement. Each letter in the acronym represents a crucial element that ensures your goals are focused, attainable, and aligned with your overall vision. So let's delve into each of these characteristics. The first characteristic is specific. Specificity is the foundation of a SMART goal. You want to avoid generic statements such as, I'm going to get in shape, or I'm going to improve my career. Instead, you want to define that goal precisely. So, for example, if your goal is to get in shape, the specific part of that goal might be increase my running distance to 5 kilometers within 3 months. The more specific you are, the clearer the path to achieving your goal becomes. So you want to clearly define what you want to achieve. You want to avoid ambiguity and vagueness. And you really want to answer the question, what exactly do I want to accomplish? Measurable. Measurable goals allow you to gauge your progress and celebrate milestones. Numbers provide a clear picture of how far you've come. If your goal is to improve public speaking skills, consider measurements like the number of presentations delivered or the positive feedback received. So you want to establish those metrics to help track your progress and to know that you're on the right track. And whenever possible, you want to quantify that goal. Attainable, or as I mentioned, some people use achievable. Achievable goals provide a sense of accomplishment and it will fuel your motivation. While it's important to push yourself, setting unrealistic goals can lead to discouragement. If we think about one of those prior examples where getting fit was your goal, I know in the past, before I started my fitness journey, that was just, I want to be healthier. Now I try to set specific goals. So for the month of May, my goal that will be attainable will be to do 50 elevated push-ups every day for the month of May. Well, it's important to push yourself. Setting unrealistic goals can lead to discouragement, as I said. So you want to be honest about your capabilities and resources. A well-defined, achievable goal is a stepping stone to bigger achievements. So in the goal that I mentioned, doing 50 elevated push-ups every day, I know this is attainable for a couple of reasons. One, I've done it in spurts. So I know I can do the 50. I can do 50 elevated. For me, that's an important part of my goal. It's specific, elevated. I know I can do them in groups of 10 or 20 or even 25 at a time. I can split them throughout my day. So 50 push-ups for me is very much something that I can achieve. If I said my goal was to do 100 push-ups a day, I can tell y'all right now that is not an achievable goal and not a goal that I want to achieve for. So that's a bit about the framework, right? So you want to set goals that will challenge you, but that you can reach. You want to consider your skills, your resources, and your time constraints, and you want to strive for progress, not perfection. So thinking about our push-up goal, I know I can do 50 at one time or split into 25 and 25. I know it's hard for me to do 50. And for me, the challenging part will be to do those every single day. So I'm hoping, my goal is that when I get up in the morning for the month of May, after I take care of my dogs, the next thing I'm going to do is do my push-ups and then go about the business of getting ready. If I wait till the end of the day, a lot of times either I'm tired or I forget or I just don't want to, and it's easy to talk myself out of it. So part of my SMART goal for this fitness goal will also be specifying I will do 50 push-ups, elevated push-ups a day before I start my day or at the beginning of my day. You want to make sure that your goal is relevant. That will ensure that the goal is not an isolated pursuit, but that it contributes to a bigger picture. Consider how the goal aligns with your long-term aspirations. For instance, if your career goal is to become a marketing manager, a relevant SMART goal could be to complete a digital marketing certification course within 6 months. So that aligns with that bigger, broader objective. You want to think, how does this goal contribute to your overall vision, and does it fit in with your values and priorities? So if we think about my push-up goal, my broader objective is to get back to doing some amount of exercise every single day. There used to be a theme every day in May. And many years ago, I was at a training and the trainer shared this every day in May. And that actually started me on my fitness journey. So I want to get back to that. So I want to commit to doing some exercise every single day in May. My hope is once I do that, I'm going to get back into working out regularly, maybe not every single day, but then I'll set a fitness goal of X number of minutes per week or X number of times per week, that sort of a thing. My overall vision is I want to get back to my love of fitness and it being a normal everyday part of my life, part of what I do. Also, though, I want to challenge myself to start doing some new fitness things. I promise you, doing push-ups every day is not part of my overall fitness plan right now and has not been, well, probably ever in my life. So by committing to this goal of push-ups, it fits into my overall vision because I'll be incorporating something new into my fitness routine. And hopefully, again, that's going to pique my interest and motivate me to continue to do that daily workout or weekly workout or regular fitness again. And I should have said, for those of you who joined after I had already said this, please feel free to ask questions if you have them throughout the presentation. There will be time at the end also to ask questions. Time bound. It is important to have a deadline. This will instill a sense of urgency. It will help keep you focused. Without a time frame, goals can linger indefinitely. Assigning a realistic time frame motivates you to take action and to track your progress. You want to make sure that you're providing a clear target for yourself to work towards. So how do you craft a SMART goal? Here's the steps. You want to identify your desired outcome, a specific desired outcome. Set a challenging yet achievable target. That's A. Define how you'll measure success. Ensure the goal aligns with your overall vision, and then identify the specific time allotted for the project. You want to practice writing SMART goals for other projects so that when you're sitting down to write a grant application, you're ready to apply the process to your project goals. So now we're going to dive into SMART goal writing for grants. Before we get there, I'm just going to stop and check. Are there any questions just on SMART goals in general? And if you don't have a mic, feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay, I don't hear any questions and I don't see, it doesn't look like anyone's writing in the chat. If a question pops into your brain, feel free to unmute yourself and ask it or to drop it in the chat. Why SMART goals matter for grants. They are a powerful tool in your grant applications. They showcase your project's focus, the potential for success of your project, and how it aligns with the funder's priorities. And that is really important to do. By using the SMART framework, you will demonstrate a well-defined plan. You will allow reviewers to clearly understand your project's objectives and the anticipated outcomes. So 3 steps: show, demonstrate, and increase. You'll show a well-defined plan, you'll demonstrate the impact potential of your grant, and you'll increase your chances of approval. And for our library vision grants in particular, SMART goals will work for any grant application. I'm going to talk throughout, though, about library vision in specifically, because that's the grant program that we manage here at the State Library. I know that impact potential is something that has consistently been a big priority for the North Dakota Library Coordinating Council, who awards the grants. So being able to showcase not only that you've thought this project through, you've taken the steps to define what the plan is, you know what your intended impact potential will be, that is going to increase your chance of approval for a library vision grant. Specificity in grant writing is so important. It's really the key. Instead of saying enhance educational opportunities, state precisely who, what, and how your project will impact education, if that was your goal. So for instance, we will develop after-school tutoring programs for at-risk students in low-income neighborhoods. The more specific you are, the stronger your case becomes. And again, in the case of our library vision grants, I know that the Coordinating Council always likes to know a specific targeted audience. It may be that your project will impact your whole patron base, and we know that, we recognize that. Most of the council are librarians. We have 2 at-large citizens. The rest of the council are librarians working in the North Dakota Library. So we recognize that when you have a good project, especially if you're in a small and rural library, it will impact your whole community. But the council wants to know that you have thought through the potential impact of the grant. They want to know that you've looked at what the funding priorities of the Library Vision program are, and that you are targeting this program to a specific audience, even though it has a potentially broader impact. So we're going to increase early literacy by hosting a quarterly story time program aimed at 2 to 4-year-olds with these literacy activities. And we will provide at-home literacy activities for families, something like that. It's specific, it shows who the audience is, and clearly defines what the project aims are. Measurable goals also will demonstrate the effectiveness of the project. Show how you'll track progress and measure impact. Consider quantifiable metrics aligned with your specific goals. For instance, if you hope to increase computer literacy, mention the number of individuals that will be trained on digital skills, or the number of computers that you will add to your public computing lab or your public computing table to help increase those digital literacy skills. I know that this is one that we see a struggle with in our library vision grant applications. A really common measurable goal that gets mentioned is circulation statistics, especially in a collection development grant. But there are so many other measures that we take in libraries. So you really want to make sure that you're not just defaulting to 20% of the new books that we buy will circulate at least once during the period of performance or during the grant period. You really want to talk in deeper terms about what the goals of the project are and how you will measure those goals. So what metrics will be tracked for progress and success, how you will quantify the impact of your project. So number of participants served, surveys measuring knowledge or behavior change. If it's a grant for a library program, how many programs will you do? That could be one measurement. How many people are you hoping will attend each program? That could be a measurement. Certainly increasing circulation can be a measurement. So I don't want to discourage you. I just want to encourage you to think broader than that metric into what other metrics do we have. If it's a computer grant, maybe your measurable metric will be, we will increase computer use over a 3-month period by 10%. You're tracking those uses of computer use anyway for the annual, the public library survey, AKA the annual report. And so think about what other things you are already measuring for the PLS and how can you incorporate something you're already measuring into your grant project. If I should have said, if you're a public library, which the people that are attending today are. If you're a school library, there's still things that you're measuring that get incorporated into a multitude of reports that your school district is required. And then for an academic library, you're measuring things that you report up to your dean or that gets reported in the iPad survey, as I believe it's called. Achievable goals. It's important that you balance ambition with reality. So you want to set goals that are ambitious, but you don't want them so ambitious that you can't meet them. When you're setting your goals, you want to consider resources, time frame, and project scope. Unrealistic goals may raise concerns about feasibility. While ambition is great, ensure your goals are achievable within the project timeframe and with the available resources. Unrealistic goals can send a red flag to reviewers. For example, instead of aiming to eradicate homelessness in a city, a more achievable goal could be provide transitional housing and job training for 50 homeless individuals within 1 year. I know, I've been with the state library for 10 years. I know from working with the coordinating council for the last 10 years, they look at what the goals are, and they look at not only are they achievable, are they measurable? That's a big one for the council. Are you setting goals that are measurable? But they look at, have you thought through the project? Have you thought through the impact? And are you showcasing that by having project impacts that you can measure, you can show that you measured them, and it's something that you can achieve. If you put so many metrics or so many projects within your grant application that you could never get accomplished within the time frame for the grant, that is really something that the council takes into account. If you are writing goals, and this gets into time bound, that are outside the project performance, that's a red flag for the council. However, if your metric is, we are going to do this project, and then for the month after the project, we're going to look at our statistics, that's acceptable because it's within the 3 months that we allow for the grant report. Hopefully that makes sense. Relevance is such a crucial part of your grant application. You want to demonstrate how your SMART goals directly address the funder's priorities. You want to research their focus areas and tailor your goals accordingly. For instance, if a foundation supports environmental initiatives, show how your project aims to reduce carbon emissions or promote sustainable projects. For library vision grants, I strongly encourage that you review the library vision document, reread it every time you're writing a grant, and look at the grant guidelines. You want to read those grant guidelines and requirements, whether it's a library vision grant or a general grant. You want to read the guidelines and the requirements before you sit down to write your project. You want to assess, does my project fit with this grant opportunity? Should I even submit this grant application? You've read it, you think about your project, you're like, absolutely, this is relevant. It meets their priorities. You want to continue to review those guidelines and um, the requirements throughout the grant writing process. Don't just read it once and go, we're good, I got this. Continue to review it throughout the process. That's how you're going to ensure that your goals align with the mission and objectives of the grant opportunity and of the bigger funder. That will help you highlight how your project addresses their specific needs. And then you want to tailor your goals to the funder's priorities. For library vision grants, where do you find those priorities? You find them in the library vision document, which is on our website and is due to be updated this year. But please make sure, whether it's a library vision grant or it's a different grant that you're writing, take the time to do some research on the funder to make sure that your grant, number one, fits their box, fits their priorities. But then number two, you really want to tailor your grant to what those priorities are for that funder. Time bound, sets a clear timeline. Your time bound goals demonstrate a well-defined project plan with a clear timeline. Make sure all activities will take place within the grant period and that you articulate that you clearly understand what the grant period is and that those activities need to be completed within that period. Knowing what the timeline is will help you set a clear and realistic time frame for achieving each goal of your project. It will help you have that sense of urgency and accountability. And most importantly, it demonstrates a well-defined project plan. I can tell you some of the questions that the council has when they're reviewing a grant proposal or grant application for a library vision grant. They look at that and they see if the project addresses that time bound, that you're going to get this accomplished within the time frame allotted for the grant. And that's where attainable comes in as well. Can you realistically complete everything you're setting out to complete within the time frame that is allotted to you by the grant guidelines? Don't underestimate the importance of stating we will complete all activities within the grant period or within the period of performance or within the timeline allotted. State that clearly, state it explicitly. It shows that you're paying attention. It shows that you've thought this out. It shows that you are confident that you haven't overstretched and that if you are awarded these grant dollars, you will be a good steward of them. So I have a call to action for you. This slide is encouraging you to immediately apply the SMART goal framework. Think about something in your life, doesn't have to be a grant application. Think about something in your life that you have going on, a project you've already started maybe, or a project you're getting ready to start. And how can you apply SMART goals into that project? How can I turn what I learned today into reality? Review the SMART goal criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Identify 2 to 3 SMART goals you want to achieve, and then develop an action plan for each goal. So I've already shared one of my upcoming goals is for the month of May that I want to exercise each day in the month of May. And I want to specifically complete 50 elevated push-ups a day. The elevated is really important because I'm not doing the push-ups on the floor. I'm doing them either on my weight bench. We have a really big bed frame, so I might do it on that. I might do it against the wall, but 50 of them every single day for the month of May. But my bigger goal is I want to reignite my passion for fitness so that it once again becomes a regular part of my life. So within that bigger project, goal 1 is going to be complete 50 elevated push-ups every day in May before 10 a.m. Gives me a little bit of grace on the weekends when I sometimes like to try and sleep in longer if my pets allow me to. But still before 10 a.m., before my day really gets going, I'm going to complete those 50 push-ups. My second goal is for the month of June, I will do a minimum of 20 minutes of exercise 4 days a week. Still attainable, it's specific, it's relevant, it's time bound because it's the month of June. Now, if I wanted to get even more specific, I could say I will do a minimum of 20 minutes of cardio exercise 4 days a week, every week in June. And that is actually what my goal will be because I want to increase my cardio. By increasing my cardio, I will increase my endurance. So those would be my goals. So that's putting that project, it's turning my SMART goals into reality. So that's SMART goals, an overview, and then how to use SMART goals to write a grant application. What questions do you have that I can answer about SMART goals?
Hi, Mary. It's Amy
Hi, Amy.
Carson from NDSES. We used SMART goals this year for our e-performance, and prior to doing so, I was not familiar with them. So that's why I'm attending. I just wanted to become even more familiar with the process. So, and good to know that you guys suggest that for NDSL grants if and when we ever apply to one of those. So thank you.
Yes, we do. And Amy, we use those as the goals that our employees set as well. I've been using the SMART framework for goals for a really long time. And to me, I really like it because it defines pretty clearly. It's fairly easy to remember because of the acronym. So as you're working through learning about SMART goals, if there's anything, any questions that you have as you're working on your goals, or if you want some feedback on do they fit the SMART acronym, I'll throw my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out if I can help in any way.
Thank
I'm
you.
kind of a nerd about this stuff. Danny, it looked like you were typing, but I didn't. Oh, how do you record the progress for your SMART goals? That's a great question. For me, what I do is I keep a checklist, and in my calendar each day that I complete, like my sit-ups, I'll mark it either with just a check mark, or if I really want to motivate myself, I'll get a sticker. I actually write it on my to-do list because there's something really satisfying about checking an item off on the to-do list. So I'm an Apple user. I have the reminder on my phone. So I will, for May, I'm going to set a reminder for every day to do my 50 sit-ups before 10 a.m. and I'll set it to go off at 9:30. So that if I haven't completed it before 10, that gives me a half hour to figure out where in the state library I'm going to go to do an elevated push-up. So it's kind of whatever system works for you to track other reminders and other to-dos. I know some people use a board like Trello. Trello's an online platform where you can, it's like a project management sort of tool. So you can use that as well. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that answered it. Thanks.
Sure. Go ahead, Al.
You know, as you were describing these, I've always thought of SMART goals as being some kind of long-term thing, but they could really fit a short-term goal.
Absolutely.
So I think I'm going to apply them to my prehab, is what it's called, before my surgery.
Oh, sure. I think SMART goals can be either short-term or long-term. And if you have a longer term project, you can break it into smaller goals so that again, it feels attainable. And definitely SMART goals can apply in that situation. Great, Melissa. I'm glad that this was helpful in terms of grant applications. That was the goal when Al and I scheduled this, so. Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to join me for this. I always appreciate when our North Dakota colleagues spend time with us. We know that that time is such a precious commodity, and we appreciate that you spent some of that with us. All right, everyone. Well, I am giving you a gift of 24 minutes back in your day. Thank you so much for joining us.